You know that feeling when you're way too excited about something and you suddenly feel the urge to tone it down? When we were kids, joy didn't need an explanation. We didn't ask if it was too much, and we didn't worry about how it looked. So when did excitement start feeling like something we needed to manage? Yeah, that's what we're unpacking today. So let's talk about it. Hey friends, welcome back to Sweet and Sour Sessions, the show centered around curiosity, honesty, and letting ourselves be exactly who and where we are. I'm Erin, your host, and someone who has spent a lifetime turning messy, complicated moments into something meaningful. My therapist actually once called me the queen of making lemonade out of lemons. And fun fact, that is what inspired the name of this podcast. Sweet and Sour Sessions, because life is rarely just one or the other, and this space is for all of it. Before we jump in, here is a quick scene-setting moment for those of you who aren't watching the YouTube video version of this episode. I'm currently wearing a sequined dress, one that I affectionately call my Taylor Swift dress, because it reminds me of the gorgeous outfits she wore on the Eras tour. Now, I'm wearing this sequined dress not because I'm going anywhere, not because it's a special occasion, but simply because it brings me joy. And that honestly is the whole point of today's episode. Because today we are talking about joy, the kind of joy we used to feel freely before we learned to tone it down, before we learned to wonder if it was too much. So, if you're listening to this while wearing something cozy, something sparkly, or something that makes absolutely no sense to anybody else, but it makes you happy, welcome. You're in the right place. Okay, so let's talk about joy, enthusiasm, and why the right people will never ask you to be less. Today, I'm talking about the kind of joy that makes you feel almost embarrassed by how excited you are. The kind that bubbles up so fast you don't even have time to contain it. You're clapping, you're gasping, you might be crying. Your chest feels too small for your happiness. That kind of joy. When we were kids, that feeling came naturally. We didn't explain it. We didn't apologize for it. We didn't check the room first to see if it was acceptable. And somewhere along the way, we learned to tone it down. So today, I want to talk about that joy, the big, electric, childlike kind, and why we stopped letting ourselves feel it out loud. There are certain things in this world that make me feel completely full to the brim, like overflowing, buzzing, almost vibrating with happiness. The things that give me goosebumps, the things that leave me in total awe. For me, it's musicals and concerts and watching aerial acrobatics where my brain genuinely cannot compute how a human body is doing that. It's magic shows where I don't know how it works and I don't want to know. I just want to be mystified. It's incredible food that makes you stop mid-bite and look around and ask, how does this taste so good? It's standing in front of a mountain or a waterfall or scenery so beautiful it makes you feel small, but in the best way. It's laughing so hard you're crying, like cannot breathe, mascara running, stomach hurts laughing. It's hilarious memes and hysterical reels and YouTube videos that are just kindness and hilarity and pets being their chaotic little selves. That kind of joy feels physical. It lives in your body. And yet for so many of us, that's the exact joy we learned to suppress. At some point, excitement started to feel risky. We learned which reactions got eye rolls, which interests got teased, which parts of us were a little much. So we adjusted. We edited. We learned to smile smaller. And here's the thing, when we shrink our joy, we don't just lose enthusiasm, we lose aliveness. There's a quote from Taylor Swift, someone who brings me immense joy. If you couldn't tell by now, I'm a huge Swiftie. But it's a quote I come back to over and over. She says, "The worst kind of person is someone who makes you feel bad about the things that make you happy." Because that doesn't feel like nothing. It lands, it sticks, and it teaches you something so heartbreaking, that joy should be hidden. I once had a boyfriend who did this, unintentionally, I believe, but he did it all the same, and the impact was still felt and still lasting. One of the most joyous experiences of my life, still to date, was being able to swim with manatees in the wild. It was mind-blowing. My family and I had traveled to Homosassa, Florida to visit one of my dad's cousins and his wife. While staying with them, they offered to take us out on the spring-fed river behind their home so we could swim with manatees. I was so excited. I remember being in the water, snorkel and mask on, clutching a pool noodle, desperately searching for any signs of a manatee, when all of a sudden something touched my foot. I submerged my face in the water to see what it was, and it was the most massive manatee and baby floating right beneath me. I literally squealed into my snorkel and was yelling with pure delight over what I was seeing. Unfortunately, my family couldn't understand me at all because this was being funneled through the snorkel. I ended up swimming around with manatees for hours. It was truly the most magical and precious experience of my life. When we got back to our cousin's house, I couldn't wait to call my boyfriend and tell him all about it. But when I started to tell him the story, it became clear he wasn't interested. He sounded bored in his responses, and he made fun of how excited I was about it. I remember deflating in that moment, his lack of enthusiasm tarnishing the experience. I ended that call not only feeling like this amazing life moment I had didn't matter, but that I, too, didn't matter as much as I thought I did to him. Obviously, I'm still able to capture immense joy with this memory, and I still love sharing my story about the experience I had, but that memory will forever be tied to the memory of that phone call and the disappointment I felt when trying to connect and share something that was important and joyful to me. Those moments, whether they're big or small, dim something in us. They teach us to file away parts of ourselves, to be more palatable, more contained, more appropriate. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Elyse Myers. She's an author, singer, and social media influencer. She is hilarious and relatable, and you should definitely check her out if you don't know her. Anyways, the reason I bring her up is because there's something Elyse says over and over on her social media, and it just honestly hits so hard. The quote is, "If I'm too much, go find less." Because being too much so often just means being fully expressed, fully excited, fully alive. And the right people in your life, they don't flinch at that. The right people don't ask you to quiet down what lights you up. They don't make you feel silly for the things that bring you joy. They don't need you to be smaller so they can be more comfortable. If you are too much for some people, maybe they're not your people. Because safe people lean in. They smile when you light up. They don't roll their eyes when you gush. They don't mock what makes you happy. They don't just tolerate your joy. They delight in it. And that's what belonging actually feels like. Not being managed, not being muted, but being met. So I want to ask you, what gives you goosebumps? What makes you feel awe? What makes you feel like you're 5 years old in the best way possible? And what did you stop talking about because someone once made you feel like it was silly? Because here's the truth. Your joy is not embarrassing. Your enthusiasm is not a flaw. Your excitement is not something to be outgrown. Your too much is someone else's exactly right. So this week, let yourself love something out loud. Let yourself get excited without apologizing for it. Let yourself feel joy in your body. And notice who leans in instead of away. Those are your people. Thank you for joining me today for the sweet, the sour, and the sparkly. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you needed to make yourself smaller, if you've ever dimmed your joy to make someone else more comfortable, just know you're not alone. You're human. And you're not too much. You're just right. And you're doing great. I'm Erin. This is Sweet and Sour Sessions. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.